Welcome to the Keeping Up Appearances podcast. I'm Callum Murray, and with me is
Bob Cole,
Sean O'Hara,
and Michael Tosh.
It's Carney, what's he going to do? Ready! Ready! Oh, yes!
good bit of content to slag Sean off with.
bang out toward what you said about him then, but
personally, that's difficult.
yeah, that was too low. I might get off actually. That was bad.
Did you enjoy Saturday? Was it Saturday? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, all right.
Great.
Should have been about 7, but we'll let them off.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. They were good, didn't they? I mean, at Bournemouth, I couldn't believe how bad Bournemouth were. Like,
Yeah, that there's 3 teams worse. I'm definitely including Bournemouth in that now.
yeah, well, that's me. I said that the same. You them 3 newly promoted teams and Bournemouth. If you don't finish it, but if you don't finish above them, like, deserve to be folded. Really, should go down to the League One.
Yeah,
If you're receiving a high press from Everton and losing the ball on the edge of your box, something's going wrong. Didn't he say something in like the build-up though, like about Everton's passing or something? He had a bit of a go at us, didn't he?
He said something, didn't he, about it's one of the winnable games. We've had a tough start. This is a very winnable game. But I don't know if he say
which
something.
it was. It was for them, to be fair.
There was Everton fans who were like, sort of like, yeah, he's out to others. Like, he's just literally speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Every Everton fan thinks Bournemouth have got a chance.
Yeah.
We're allowed to say it, though.
No, he's got his England top on the divvy.
Just
to rile Bob up.
Sorry, I'm late again. What are we doing?
A podcast, aren't we?
That was a good one.
What's your new game?
We've been working on that one since waiting for you, Joe.
I tell you what, it was delivered masterfully. Well done, Cal. Callum's getting away with murder, yeah. He was the gammon until I just turned up.
No, he's sleeping. He's sleeping rough this week, so he's not a gammon anymore.
No, do you know what? I wish he'd promoted the podcast as much as he's promoted this sleepover.
I know, yeah.
Gonna do
a fundraise for me to have a kit.
All he's talked about on social media for the past 24 hours.
The podcast actually like bringing some good to the world as well. It's just having a kip in the park and doing nothing.
Pretending you're doing it for charity when you just want to have a kick about in Goodison.
Shall we get going then?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
So with it being another international break, it's going to be a bit of a different Keeping Up Appearances podcast this week. We will have our Marooned 5, which is going to be international themed, which Tosh will explain shortly. We will review the Man City Arsenal game, and then we will pick 4 random international teams for our Keeping Up Appearances game. Tosh, over to you.
Okay, so just a quick reminder, Marooned 5, we pick a topic each week. This week it's going to be international themed, and we pick player, team, a match that we think most applies to us. So this week, with it being international themed, we're going to go with the best players who have never won a cap for their international country, or no cap wonders. Okay, the 5th one, we're going to go this week with an obvious one. We'll mention that at the end. But who wants to start us off this week with their best player to never receive a cap for their country?
Oh, yeah!
You want me to go?
Come on, then.
Yeah, because I'll stop. Everyone was fighting for it then. Go on, I'll go. Yeah, mine. So as you 3 know, I've turned up in my old school England shirt today. I just wanted to get in character for my no cap wonder. And I think if I'm taking on this persona, I think it's an absolute travesty that Mr. England, Mark Noble, never made an appearance for England. He's the definition, in my opinion, of like of that well, if you want to say that, of that old school England mentality of just like proper.
Brexit means Brexit.
Again, yeah, I'm going to say it in different words, but like Cockney as like the Londoners as England representing England. I just think he's everything you'd ever think, and I think just on that basis alone, I find it mad that he never made an appearance for England.
So not even on football ability, just because he's dead English.
Well, no, because he was. If you look at his career, how long was he playing?
I'm not saying he was a bad player. It just sounds like that's
No,
what you're
I mean,
saying
there's a-
qualifies him.
that is mainly the reason, though. I can't believe he didn't get
Yeah,
it.
okay.
But on ability, I think it backs it up. I think, how long was he at West Ham? Like 15 years or so, playing at a decent level.
Mm.
He was fairly consistent. He'd always have good numbers. He was solid. You kind of you can count on him every week. And I just think if you look at England squads of the past, whether at tournaments or not, I think the amount of midfielders that have made an appearance in that time, and Mark Noble didn't even get a sniff. I just find it a bit mad.
Imagine how loud he would have sang the national anthem as well.
Exactly. That's what you'd think they'd want, innit?
Exactly.
Especially when Brexit's going on, you think whack Mark Noble in the squad. You get a bit of support. But I just think I was looking at his numbers, and I think his biggest season was arguably 15-16, coming into a Euros year. And I looked at the squad, and I think, let me have a look at the midfielders. So in the provisional squad, we had Danny Drinkwater, who at the time, I know he just come off his Leicester season, but come on.
That instantly qualifies him though, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Andros Townsend, Ross Barkley, Eric Dyer's in there as a centre mid. I just think...
Yeah. Playing for bigger teams.
Well, no, that's exactly the problem, isn't it? I think if...
England managers always did that, didn't they? I mean,
if you look at
Southgate's still doing it now.
With the exception of Ross Barkley, they're all at big name clubs, and I think that's massively hamstrung Noble throughout his career. Because I think everything else, he's got everything that ticks a box to say he should be playing for England in some way.
Also a great penalty taker as well.
And I found out this fact. Wait, this will blow your mind. He's technically, over the past 20 years, classed as the second best penalty taker in Europe. Based on his conversion rate. So out of... he's only behind Lewandowski. He missed 46 out of 49 he scored, and then Noble is less than 1% fewer. So even again, on an international stage, I think he had loads going for him to the point where he should have got at least a sniff of a call-up at some point. Whether a friendly, you think of some of the jokers that have played for England.
Leon Osman made a couple of appearances very late in his career, and I'm surprised he didn't just give that token gesture to Mark Noble, because, as I said, he wouldn't have shut up about the national anthem, would he? He would have done 14 verses of it.
It was always dead funny because you just thought how much he'd actually loved it as well. That's the thing. So it was always dead funny at the end. When he didn't, you thought he'd just loved the token one. He'd have absolutely, yeah.
It's like must have been a private joke within footy. Just keep Noble away from England. Not that I'm particularly a big advocate of him. I just think when I was researching
it. Yeah, I've spent 10 minutes talking about him.
That's kind of the segment, Bob.
You have just said he's the second best player in Europe after Lewandowski, so your words.
That is true. There's evidence, But I just think when I was looking at other players, I could kind of have a case for other players, whereas I just can't seem to believe that he didn't make it. In 15 years at the top level, pretty much, I can't believe he didn't make it in any way into one squad.
Fair play. Right, anyone want to put their case forward next?
I'll go next, seeing as I'm essentially in fancy dress. Wearing, I reckon, the most unique football shirt in the world. Not even sure what year it's from.
Where did you get it from?
The shop in town.
Oh, they saw you coming, didn't they?
Yeah, I was very lucky because the fella who printed it was an Everton fan, so I felt like less of an idiot. Anyway, I'm wearing a Spain shirt from about 2009, I reckon, with Arteta 10 printed on the back, and I think it's probably the only one ever printed. So I might put it on eBay and see if I get any bids.
Certainly hasn't got one.
I know, yeah. Might see if you want to. I probably don't even think this anymore when you look back on how insane Spain's midfield was at the time, but I think with how consistent Arteta was for most of the time he was at Everton, and certainly when he was at Arsenal, other than having a couple of really bad knee injuries that may have scuppered his chances at certain times, just surprised he didn't get at least one token cap. Back in the day, I was adamant that he was better than Xabi Alonso, but looking back, even I'm not that stupid now. So
I was also in that camp as well, to be fair, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to it though.
Yeah, I'm just surprised he never got one.
I think obviously when he was at his pomp in Everton, I was sort of when we mentioned we were going to pick that, I sort of was trying to think back, and I remember I think there was a spell, and I might be wrong here, but like when they won the Euros in 2008, the manager was that Aragonés, wasn't he? And I think he didn't like picking people who didn't play in Spain. So I remember there was a similar thing when Reyes was playing for Arsenal, and he didn't really get many caps or many sniffs, and he was like brilliant at that time. That was before Spain's like, and I think there was an element of that where, don't get me wrong, they had a brilliant midfield, and do you think like Fabregas wasn't always a certain starter for Spain around that time, but I just say similar to what Sean was saying, you think he was surely good enough to make a squad, wasn't he? Like you think, I don't know.
I don't know if they were true, but there was always like rumours that he was going to switch allegiances to England, wasn't there? Like citizenship, but I don't know if that was ever like a possibility.
It's not what Sean and Mark Noble voted for, though, is it?
I was going to say Nobes would have been gutted, wouldn't he? He was just about to get his first goal.
That would have been so funny. Oh, I'd imagine
taking our jobs.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to add, really.
No, I think a good shout. I think team, we all love them. I think we'd have all had them in there, but I'll go next. Then I'll stick to the continental theme, and I'll go again. I'm going to go Paolo Di Canio. And again, I think when people talk about this one and the list that you see written and things like that, Di Canio is always near the top, as never playing for Italy, despite having a brilliant career. And he played, for a few big clubs in Italy. Obviously, came to the Premier League and spent probably his prime. He went to Celtic as well, didn't he, at the start? But obviously, famous for never appearing for Italy. And when you think of him, you just think of the fantastic goals. And we mentioned Mavericks a couple of weeks ago, and we were discussing Mavericks. And I think, he was certainly in the running for a few people's thinking for that as well. But similar to the discussions we've had really with the other people, who's just probably a wealth of talent. You think of Italy, around the late 90s, you think of people like Vieri and Baggio and people like that. And early on, Schillaci and Vialli and all these different people. I think they had a wealth of talent, but you think someone like Italy now who
he probably just about extended to like Totti and Co as well, didn't he, really?
Yeah, probably did.
Noughties, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's late 2000, early noughties. Just say, obviously, West Ham got relegated about 2003, didn't he? He was still there then. He left. Yeah. That was when he left them. So, you think of Italy now with the struggles they're having, they'd love someone of his ability up top. They don't seem to have a depth of talent there as a striker, but yeah, I don't know. He's just one of the people that sprung to my mind as a brilliant footballer. Obviously famous at Goodison as well for that very sporting gesture when he picked the ball up when he could have scored after. Was it Paul Gerrard in goal after? It was,
yeah.
I wasn't actually there that day, but I remember my dad coming home and telling me about that and saying the whole ground applauding him and things like that. And I always remember it, like every time he came back, he always got a brilliant reception at Goodison for that. Like Everton fans remember things, don't they? Usually for the worst, but that one was certainly good. And I just think. Just a maverick like him, it seems mad that he wouldn't make an appearance for an international side. But yeah, that would be my suggestions.
I was going to say, do you reckon like Arteta, it was a case of because he wasn't playing in Italy and it's like peak?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, that's a good point. But again, they did have like around that time like brilliant sort of strikers, in attacking roles like even like Totti and people like that. I remember they got to the final of Euro 2000, I think, and there was a striker, I can't remember his name, Del Vecchio or something. They had like lots and lots of strikers. So yeah, and as Bob said, passing into that next year, I don't know. But
yeah, if you're in the country, I don't know, you're just under the nose a bit more, aren't you? You're probably hyped a bit more. I think we're probably it's hard for us in England, isn't it? Because all of our players generally play in England and always have. But
I always imagine a bit
of less hyped.
Yeah, I always imagine a bit of a snobbery with like Italians as well, in that the sense that you should be playing in Italy type thing. You should be playing for one of our clubs rather than going over to England. And I think you're probably right in that regard. Yeah.
Well, I was about to say that, Carl, to be fair. I think, wasn't it like, in terms of the snobbery, in the 90s anyway, like Serie A was the league, wasn't it? Like that was the league everyone wanted to play in. And I think the Premier League, in its early years anyway, wasn't at all.
But certainly in the late 80s, yeah, the Italian, and I think it still was then. I think, Juventus reached 3 or 4 Champions League finals in that time. And Milan obviously won a few as well. So yeah, you think you're right as well. So it'd be a case of, if you're any good, why would you not be playing in Italy type thing? Yeah. It's hard to not mention him pushing over the referee as well. One of the best Premier League moments, without doubt. What was his name, the referee? Paul, someone going tumbling over. Paul
Gold as well, didn't he?
Alcock or something like that.
Looking at his like goals and stuff here, like as far as I know, he's not the most prolific striker anyway, is he? But if like the perception in Italy was that Italy's the league, his numbers in Serie A in the 90s were horrendous for a striker.
Yeah, we were sort of a bit like, I think he was a bit of a 10 as well, wasn't he? He wasn't like an out-and-out goal scorer. He was more of a like creator. Like you think like even at West Ham, he played with people like, later on like Canute and Defoe and people like that. But yeah, I mean, almost saying his numbers weren't great. I think.
But then I think as well, if you look at like Matt Letizia then as well, in terms of stylistically, they are very similar.
Yeah.
And that he was also never really like respected by English managers, was he? They just didn't back him, didn't fancy him. Is it the
Because
same
of his
thing where-
opinions now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Callum's keeping stum.
He'll be
Well,
with
no.
Nobes on the XL Bully March, I reckon, Matt Letizia.
Have you seen the
Yeah.
latest Ricky Lambert one?
No.
No.
It's honestly, he said something like, if you speak to water, it'll turn
Oh.
pure.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
I've only just seen that in the past couple of weeks, and it was possibly the maddest thing I've ever read.
Yeah.
Another
Right
one
then.
of Callum's associates.
Speaking of Callum's mad theories, then Callum, who's your player to be marooned?
Oh, sorry, I
My
wasn't
place.
finished. Can I go back to the carry-on?
Please
Sorry.
do, Sean.
Sorry, dead quick. Other than, say, Zola, has there ever been a good Italian in the Premier League?
Colo Cucini.
Moise Keane.
But
Alessandro Pistoni.
Marco
Italian.
Materazzi.
the answer's no then. I shall move on.
There's something mad. Was Balotelli the
I was
first
the
Italian
first,
to ever win a
yeah.
Premier League?
He's the first
Yeah.
to win it.
That's why I think there's so
Ancelotti.
much pressure on like Tonali as well, because it's just like Italians come and go in the Premier League and just. But then even Zola's considered one of the best Premier League players ever. He's not got that many caps for Italy, as far as I know.
No, that's a good point. I remember. I think he
He
scored
wasn't playing in Serie A.
Yeah, I think he scored the winner at England. I remember once in qualifying, but I think you're right. I don't think he did play that much, did he?
You know what I mean? So there's definitely like a bias there, but then also they just don't seem to deliver when they're over here. So
Good point. On Callum, should we try again?
Yeah, got my pick is Kevin Campbell. He obviously played for a few big clubs, Everton, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, or Notts Forest, as you might prompt us to say, Bob. But yeah, decent goal scoring record. I think I read that he's got the most Premier League goals for someone without an international cap, which is an interesting stat. I think that proves that maybe he actually should have a cap. I think again he's probably been hindered by the fact that probably through his era, there's probably always just great strikers for England. But again, he's one of those where he was at big enough clubs to be making a bit of a noise. Obviously in the Premier League, scoring goals, winning things as well in like teams that were winning competitions and stuff, especially like earlier on. So again, you would have just thought he would have had one or two caps. I don't think he would, just by the fact that there's probably better strikers. So at the time, like, he was never going to rack up loads of caps. But I thought, yeah, surely he was worth a couple just in terms of the team he was playing for at the time, like earlier on. Decent return as well, really, looking at his numbers. That kind of dwindled towards the end, but I think he's maybe just under 1 in 3 for Arsenal. I think he was better than 1 in 3 for Forest. Yeah, obviously, I mean, we all love Menu. He's a bit of a cult hero for us, but yeah, he seemed like he should have been worth 1 or 2 caps, I think.
I think it's one of them again, isn't it? The depth, like you spoke about. You think of that 90s, you think of those Shearer, Sheringham, Fowler, Owen, Les Ferdinand. That's the thing, isn't it? But you say you make a good point that like that stuff about the most goals without ever having an international cap. Good stats. Got some good stats today. I feel unprepared.
Yeah.
Sean and Callum delivering.
Do your research, mate.
But yeah, just generally the king, wasn't he? Super Kev. Let's say he'll get on any list. I wouldn't want to send him away though. I'd always want him around. He looks like such a happy man as well. So.
He is very happy man. Legend.
he's got fashion inspiration, isn't he, Cal?
One of many. Yeah.
Razzie dresser.
Anyone else any thoughts on
Very
Super
like
Kev?
No, I just think you're right, Tosh. I just think there's so many strikers there. Like you look at even like Andy Cole, famously
Yeah.
had very few England caps. And you just think how good he was, especially late 90s. He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get anywhere near it. I just think he's just a bit cursed, and that so many, like that generation was just unbelievable. And even at like Arsenal, he's always in Ian Wright's shadow, isn't he? So he's got to move away from that big team to smaller teams, you could say. And he's not going to
Pierre
play.
Van Hooijdonk shadow in Nottingham Forest as well. So,
and then ends up in Turkey, didn't he? And then you just think, I don't know, he's just moving away from being that top level when all the others are delivering consistently. I don't know. That's my take.
He comes lower again by coming back to Everton.
True.
Right then, great. 4 suggestions. The 5th one this week, we're going to do back to our obvious one. Hopefully, in coming weeks, we might be able to get some suggestions from the fans. I know it was put out on Twitter, so feel free to let us know for next week for whatever we go with. We're going to go with Steve Bruce for the most obvious one this week. Again, won't dwell on them for too long, but I think, again, whenever you think of that, I know in my head, it's one of the first one that pops into people who've never made an international cap. You think of Steve Bruce was starting in the 90s, winning Premier Leagues as the captain of Manchester United. I don't know how many years he was at United. I haven't got the stats. Someone will probably tell me. But, to be there that long, playing at such an elite level, winning leagues, winning doubles and things like that, and never to play for England seems madness, really, doesn't it? I think you think now all you have to do is, play 10 minutes for Man United or Liverpool or Man City and you get in the squad to, Steve Bruce to never have made an appearance just seems ridiculous. Anyone else? Anything to add on Brucey?
Strange one, isn't it? I mean, I don't know, is there a reason? Is there a reason that's ever been kind of touted?
Big fat head, I reckon.
Possibly, yeah.
Got to be something to do with it.
Couldn't fit in the top.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, you're trying to think of the people who've been playing. There obviously would have been some good defenders. Tony Adams was captain in England around that time. Gareth Southgate himself. But again, you can't imagine there was as much depth there as we mentioned with the strikers. I don't know. There probably would be a reason, but Brucey, I think he's going to make up the 5th person to be marooned onto our desert island. Unless anyone else has got anything on, should we wrap that up there?
And the bacon as well.
The what?
You not seen that video?
That was a great video. That was a great video.
He's in a press conference and someone says something completely different. And he says, "What's that? Are you talking about the bacon?" Honestly, it's so... I've not done it justice there, but it's brilliant.
I thought he does it more like, he's just like
something...
He's like that, and he's like, no, just like sort of, you can tell he's not listening. He just sort of goes, bacon. Something like that.
It's just someone like that, yeah, but so good.
It is. I don't think either of them has done it justice there, to be fair.
There's your title, Sean.
I'll add it into the video.
There's your title, bacon.
Yeah. Bacon.
And mix it with that little fat kid in America as well. The one who gets the bacon taken off.
Bacon is good for me.
Good for me, yeah. Put Steve Bruce's face on him.
Okay, then. So just to recap, the 5 players marooned as our no-cap wonders were Mark Noble, Mikel Arteta, Paolo Di Canio, Super Kev Campbell, and Steve Bruce. Right then, shall we review the game from the weekend?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, go on.
So, to review the Arsenal versus Manchester City game, it was possibly a game that might have an impact on the eventual winners of the Premier League, possibly. It was a big weekend for Manchester City for the wrong reasons, an even bigger weekend for Arsenal for all the right reasons. Got the monkey off the back a bit, finally beat Pep and beat Manchester City after, I think, maybe 6, 7, 8 years, possibly. So, yeah.
2019, I think it was.
Yeah, was that the last time he took points off them, though, I think?
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think possibly he hadn't beat them until a couple of years before that. But yeah, anyone have any thoughts? Decent. Someone was saying about the match.
I'm just glad we changed the whole format of the podcast last week because we didn't want to miss this huge game. And it was absolutely dire. And I was the spectacle, you could say tactically, it was great watching these two geniuses. And then it's just so boring. It really was. You just cancelled the whole game.
Yeah, I thought both teams didn't actually have the best game. But yeah, I think that you're right. And it was just they were just cancelled out. I'm not even sure in the best way. As well as if it was kind of end to end and load of chances carved out. It was just bit of a nothing game.
It was neither wanted to lose, so do everything we can to not lose.
I think in a bit it was almost like both defenses played too well. So nothing happened. Saliba, Arsenal's defense were unbelievable. So nothing kind of happened there. Yeah, the City seemed to deal with Arsenal's attack quite well. It was there seemed to be quite a few counter attacks, but the counter attacks would just stop. they'd just be prevented. So
I think that's because the wingers didn't seem to want to commit to it. Like you think like that game was crying out for Saka to just take it by the scruff of the neck, but obviously it wasn't there. And then you had all the other wide players. It was like, to get the ball, you think, go on, run at your man. And then next thing, the attack just ends. And then, as you say, play it back. It's like, keep possession, don't commit too much. And I just think it ended up being a game that neither team wanted to actually take too many chances in, because losing the game was far too big of a risk.
See, I agree with everything that's been said there. I was frustrated again. Just like I'm very frustrated with City at the moment. I feel like even towards the end of last season, for what they were and what Pep's side, I just think they're dead boring now. And you think he's got this mad thing where he seems to try and put as many centre backs on the pitch as possible. You know, even like in 0-0, he's putting on John Stones to play in the middle. I know he's been playing really well. It was just like, and then I was probably even more frustrated with Arsenal. I really wanted Arsenal to win. I quite want Arsenal to do well this year. And I was thinking they could. And then by the end, I was sort of, I don't want them to win, because I thought, like, I know you're saying about neither team wanting to lose, which I think was the case. But I just thought for Arsenal, that was the big chance. I know they've obviously ended up winning, so great. But I thought City were there for the take. And I didn't really feel he had a good go at it. I just thought they were just very passive. And I was frustrated in the end. I didn't really particularly want Arsenal to win, because now they think, they're sort of great without really deserving to be. Yeah, I think City, there's just something I've said for a few weeks. I think I know I've predicted them to lose. I just think there's something not quite right there. I know they are missing a lot of players. So obviously, you take De Bruyne out of any team, they're going to look a worse team. But there's just something not right. And Rodri as well, obviously. But I don't know. They probably still win the league. Probably wakes them up now, doesn't it? But it was a better result for the league, I think, in terms of that. But yeah, I don't know. I was just, as you said, disappointed, really. The game, I watched Brighton Liverpool before that, and that was just a much better game, proper free flow and end to end, so many chances. Whereas in that one, you think there's a capability with them two managers, Arteta and Pep, to be that, and it was just so boring, no real chances. And yeah,
I think if they had two early chances, then obviously Declan Rice off the line, and then just straight after that, Aki missed that chance. I think if one of those goes in, obviously I just think it's a different game. Early goal, and I think City probably just like open out then, and then obviously Arsenal are chasing it. I think you're probably right. Probably got to a certain point where they were like, yeah, don't lose this now. And it kind of hindered the game a bit. But yeah, as I say, I think it is a big win for Arsenal. It probably flatters them a touch. But yeah, you could easily just see City, not losing between now and the end of the season if they really want to, and it just clicked for them and they get players back.
They had this last year, didn't they, where like they didn't start too well. And then he hit that like after Christmas period where they just won't stop.
Yeah. That's the thing that I was saying with Arsenal with regards to needing to win that game. Man City have got that in them to just win the last 15 games of the season. You can't afford. Arsenal have got to be points ahead of them, like they were last year. How many points were they ahead at one point last year? 7-8 points, and City just win all them games like that. And that was what I was just saying. They need to be ahead of City, because City can just do that. Thought it was interesting. I don't know if anyone's seen that afterwards about Neville saying about he wonders if they're suffering a consequence of after winning the treble. It's a case of what can he do now. He was saying when he was at United, he felt his worst season was the year after the treble, and just that thought of we've done it now, we've won the league, we've won the Champions League. What's there to actually achieve? And I thought that was quite interesting. Having thoughts about that. But yeah, I don't know.
I also think as well, I don't know whether Pep was trying to be too smart at the weekend, by playing Bernardo as this deep lying number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't know, because I'm assuming Arsenal wouldn't have expected it when the lineups came out. You'd expect them to be behind Haaland almost. And he just, in the end, you had the 3 centre mids so deep. Then we wonder why Haaland's not getting any service. You know what I mean? This stat keeps running around. Haaland's had 0 shots. And you're like, he was lumping it up to him half the time. And then Saliba was ragging him everywhere. What's he meant to do? I know Tosh obviously doesn't rate him, but I just think he needs a bit more than what he's given before we start slagging him off.
I think he obviously has a good relationship with Grealish and De Bruyne, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then now
they just know
Grealish is
where he is. Yeah, I think, to be fair, I thought that game needed Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish was the player who would have made something happen. But yeah, it was strange that he didn't come on.
Right, so if you wonder why Bob hasn't spoken, it's because he's just left. Now, I don't actually know how we're going to do keeping up appearances when he's not here.
Can we not just do what I did the other week and he sends his answer in, maybe?
But yeah, but it'll have to be soonish, won't it? Oh no, I suppose it doesn't. But then
Just
I'll
do
have,
it like
I'll have to do the results and that again. But that's fine. Right. Is it keeping up appearances time then?
yeah, how are we doing it?
These are the rules. We select 3 matches from this week's fixtures, which are entered into the Wheel of Fortune. This will randomly select our featured game. This match will be the focus of our discussions, predictions, and most importantly, our game of keeping up appearances. Once our fixture has been chosen, we'll use an online generator to provide a target number for our game. For us, this is anything between 50 and 450. Our job then is to think of a player who's made that many appearances for either of our selected teams. Whoever's closest wins. Each week, 4 points will go to the closest person, 3 points for second place, 2 points will go to third place, and the person who's furthest away gets 1. These points will be accumulated over the whole season, and we'll update our league table each week.
Now, as it's internationals this weekend, we're going to break from tradition again. Last internationals we did England, but we thought that might be a bit boring, so we've decided to change it up this week, and each of us are going to select an international country, and they'll be added to our wheel. Now, there's only 3 of us at this point because obviously Bob's left, so we'll now take turns in picking our country. Al, who do you
Just
want?
go hard this.
How are we saying not England?
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously not England.
I thought I'd just do 3. Just do that. Spain. Want to be Spain, France, Brazil, innit? Or Tosh might go Argentina, actually.
Don't second guess me. I want Peru, please, show. I'll go Argentina.
I'm going to France. Right. Okay, so the countries are in. We've got Spain from Callum, France from me, and Argentina from Tosh. If we spin the wheel, we'll see that our team for today is Argentina.
Hey.
This is going to be hard.
What an absolute nightmare that is. Obviously, us 3 will be giving our answers as normal, and then we will have Bob via satellite link or voice note, as Tosh did the other week. Okay, right, let me get the number.
Just think as well, Sean, we didn't even mention that you got the prediction right for the score.
It doesn't matter. I'll include that bit in the podcast, Bob. Tosh. Was it 0 and 120?
Zero's going to be an easy one, and if that comes up, me.
Okay, so 1 and 120. Right, so our parameters, as they are for all of our international breaks, are between 1 and 120. So quite a big scope there, which will be terrible for me and Callum at this point. So time to generate our number, and it is 68, which I'm sure was the exact same number we had for the England one.
I've got the records here.
Was it?
It was 68, yeah.
Good knowledge, Sean. You should get a point for that.
Madness.
Okay, so the time's come to have a little think. If you're playing along at home, feel free to comment on YouTube or Twitter or wherever you find us. We're going to have a slight change this week. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago about possibly doing a song of the week, but we weren't sure how to do it, where to do it, how to fit it in. And we've decided that a good time might be in this brief gap between getting our number and thinking of our answer. So we're going to set ourselves the challenge of coming up with an answer in the time that the song's playing. And we think that might be a good idea for anyone at home that's playing along too. So I'm going to choose this week's Song of the Week. Now, it just so happens that these are one of my favourite bands, which helps. But as we're recording on World Mental Health Day, I thought that their new song, titled It Won't Be Like This Forever, was quite apt. So it's a great song, but also a great message about making sure that we reach out to people in times of need. So the link's in the description, have a little listen, and then when the song's finished, head back and we'll have our answers, and hopefully you will too. So enjoy It Won't Be Like This Forever by Neck Deep.
I've just realised the player I've already picked him. No, we said, but if I've not picked him internationally, can I pick him again? Because it's different
Yeah.
appearances.
Not be able to pick them for the same team.
Yeah, we've literally never done this one before, Tosh, so you're fine.
Okay, then.
I think I've got one.
I've got my answer, I think. I'm trying to think if I can do it, but it's so random. I think you just go with what your first instinct is, isn't it? I can still be, I didn't see the picture.
Oh, yeah?
Actually says how many caps
I want-
we've got on here, so I know.
Right. Are we ready then? We all got answers?
Yeah.
We have. I've got my answer. I was trying to go, I love my Argentinian football and my old players, so I was trying to think of someone old. So I was trying to think of the old days, somebody face Mario Kempes or Kenichia, who I think, I don't know, could be lower, but the answer I've got is someone we've actually just discussed whether I can pick him. I've picked beforehand for a club side, and we've agreed I can go with them. So it's going to be Hernan Crespo. Again, no real reference point. I know he was there. I think he was around in '98. I know he played in 2002 and 2006, so 3 World Cups, quite a long span. So maybe he did play a lot more. Actually, I'm just saying that's making me worried a bit. Actually, like I think he played in 3 World Cups. Argentina though they weren't too good. Didn't get out the group in 2002, so maybe didn't play as many games. Yeah, great player. I love him. Fantastic footballer. So yeah, I'm going to go Hernan Crespo. Callum?
Good shout. Yeah, as I said, I can. This is just pure guesswork, I think, for this one. I feel that obviously 6 to 8, it doesn't seem a lot in the grand scheme of things, keeping up appearances, but internationally, that is quite a lot of caps, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
So I had a couple. I mean, I don't maybe want to say them in case Sean was thinking of them or whatever, but
I've got 2, but go ahead.
yeah, I was originally thinking of maybe like Riquelme, sort of thinking a bit because he was an Argentinian player I could think of.
Can I just say, Bob will 100% go for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say the non-Everton link, but the Everton link that never was. I was kind of thinking of him, but I just wouldn't know. But
Do you think he'd have had more or less?
I genuinely.
Because I bet he's one that's probably not as many as you think. Because again, I don't think he was there in 02 or 98. He definitely played in 06. But yeah, I don't know. He's got a fantastic football. I know he was.
Brilliant.
I reckon it could be a good shout anyway, to be honest. But
I think I'll go with. So you're looking at quite a few tournaments. I'm a bit of a span. I'll go with a striker, as you did, Tosh, and I'll go with Gonzalo Higuain. I think probably, I'm guessing, maybe got a cup, 2 or 3, sort of maybe 2 World Cups out of him. I don't know, a couple of World Cups, maybe a couple of their other big tournaments. Obviously, at the top of his game for a long time. I'm just guessing with the racked up appearances. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Argentinian squads, but I assume he would have been maybe one of the starting strikers for quite a while.
Yeah.
So
he started the World Cup final in 2014. Again, a lot of people, he was playing ahead of Aguero at the time. He was there. I think he scored a hat-trick in 2010 as well, if I remember rightly. I might not do. So he definitely was around a couple of tournaments. I can't remember, 18. I think famously, was he born in France as well? I think he might not have been born in Argentina, if I'm right, but I might be, again, could be completely wrong on that. But I always thought he was a great footballer.
I've got to change.
No.
Yeah, he's yeah, I'll go with him again. I've no reference point. I don't really know, but
I reckon seems like a reasonable shout.
I also think he's playing at so many top clubs in that he's in the squads. Like,
yeah,
that's what I mean. He would have just been there or thereabouts for quite a number of years.
I think he was quite underrated as well. I think the people forget at the time he was keeping Benzema out the team at times at Real Madrid and stuff like that early on in his career. But yeah, very good player.
Right, go on then. So my knowledge of Argentinian football is like minute. I just kind of go on a couple of players I know from the Premier League. So I've got 2 names in my head, but Tosh, don't comment because it'll sway me.
Okay.
The first one I was thinking of, mainly, I know arguably better, not on like a personal level, but was Zabaleta, who I imagine again, he's like, was at the top of his game, wasn't he, in City? He's going to be in all the squads and stuff. And I vividly remember him playing. But then the other shout was, and again, this fella could be like the most capped player ever, or he could have had a handful, mainly because his reputations. I don't know if his reputation is the true reflection of how he's viewed in Argentina. So I was thinking of Varane, who in England is a bit of a joke, but I know in Argentina, he's like a hero, isn't he? Or again, have I got that wrong? I think they really rated him in Argentina.
You told me not to comment.
Oh, all right, sorry.
Who are you going with, and I can give you me feedback.
You know what? I'll go. I reckon Varane was playing in Argentina for quite a while. Like all the way through the 90s, because he was in that. I've been watching that Beckham documentary. He's in that 98 team, and when Beckham gets sent off, and then he comes to England in like 2000, 2001 after they win the treble. So he's obviously had a decent career before he gets to the Premier League. I'm going for Varane.
Yeah, I think he's definitely there 0-2 as well. I think, he is loved, and he played for, I think it was Estudiantes, and he won like them there. I think his dad played for them as well, and they both won like their Champions League.
Okay.
I read a very good book. Anyone who's interested in Argentinian football by Jonathan Wilson, Angels with Dirty Faces. Good title as well. But yeah, I think
on a TV show as well. No,
I think it's a film, an old film, but it's a really, really good book, very like in depth. Yeah, I think both. Not bad. Again, it's hard, isn't it? Varane again, it's probably one of them. I think similar to Crespo. I think in the sense that you'd imagine he played for ages, so we have loads of cash, but it's hard international to know. I think you're right. I don't know. I think a big exaggeration to say seen as a joke in England. I don't know. I think most people respect he was a brilliant footballer.
No, but I just mean when you think like, maybe a joke was a bit harsh, but like he doesn't have the same level of esteem he does over there because when he was at United, he famously didn't deliver.
I think people always say United, he'd only turn like, in the Champions League, he'd be brilliant. But, if he was playing Derby County away from home, he wasn't interested, which fair play to him. I think he was in that great, did he sign it from Lazio? I think he played for Lazio, a good Lazio team, like people like Nedved, or wasn't Nedved? Someone, I think that's where United signed him. He was playing under Sven and things like that. But yeah, no, fantastic footballer. Sabaleta as well, yeah. I think, I had no idea. He played again in World Cup final in 2014. He played in that, I think. But yeah, hard to know.
I think they're both good shouts.
Yeah, I think it's a hard one. I think I'd be surprised if any of them were miles out. I think Crespo could be a lot more than what I've said, so worth checking.
I think the England, the fact we've done the England one though is quite good because it's a bit of a guide.
Yeah,
like where we were, like we had like Shearer you won with Shearer, didn't you, Cal?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a good guide to think about similar players, similar times and stuff. How long they've been there.
Yeah, it's mad. In the club game, you're thinking of that amount of numbers is like a flop.
Yeah.
But internationally, it's like, nah, that's like a mainstay kind of thing.
But again, like back in the day, like, no one got to 100 caps. It is changing now. Where like you think only England players recently have gone to 100. Like, up until probably Beckham got there, there'd probably only been one or two England players who've got there. And now it's like, so it is more. Right. Are we checking now or are we waiting for Bob to get it?
We waited for Bob last time, didn't we?
Wait for Bob and then I'll record all the results and that afterwards. Again, like I did the other week.
So,
have I got to wait and not spoil it for myself?
Oh no, you can check if you want, but you don't know where Bob is.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to check.
Right, go ahead. I'll put in the group for Bob, and I'll just when I've got his, I'll let you know. Unless you might put in the group.
I should have gone Caniggia. I think I should have gone Caniggia, but I've got to stick to Crespo now.
Was he the keeper? No,
he was like the one with the long hair. He played in 99.
He signed for Wembley FC, didn't he? In the Budweiser documentary thing for the FA Cup.
Oh, did he? He played like someone in Scotland. He played for like Dundee in Scotland. Maradona absolutely loved him though. He's like he thought he was the best player ever. He just wasn't. But that's right then. So we're leaving it there then.
Very tempted to go for another Everton legend and Ramiro Funes Mori, but I'll say Pablo Zabaleta.
the results are in. And obviously it's just me doing the results today and the close of the show, because with receiving Bob's answer slightly later, obviously we had to leave the Zoom. So you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. Now, this week's one was insanely close. I always love it in these episodes when all four of us are within 10 of the answer, which is very rare, especially on something as hit and miss as international caps, but all of us got good answers today. In fourth place then, with an answer that was 58, which is 10 off our target number, was Bob with Zabaleta. Now obviously he ended up using my second answer, so I'm pretty happy with this one, but still a good answer nonetheless. Then in third place, 7 off with 75, it's Callum with Higuain. Again, a really good answer, but not quite good enough this week. Interestingly, top two, me and Tosh, are actually joint first because we're both 4 away. However, we're on opposite sides of the scale. So my answer of Juan Sebastian Veron was 72. We played 72 times for Argentina, which puts me 4 off. And likewise, Hernan Crespo played 64 times for Argentina, also putting in 4 off. So Tosh and I jointly take the crown this week. So I'm pretty pleased with that, but a good day all round for all of us. Now that we've done that, let's have a quick look at how that has impacted our league table. As we hit week 10, our league table is as follows. Tosh is still sitting pretty at the top on 30 points. I'm starting to wonder if he'll ever be caught. Sean has managed to leapfrog Bob into second place with 26 points, and Bob and Callum are not far behind at all on 24 points, and just for the sake of it, I'm saying they're joint last rather than joint third. Unlucky. So, a good week all round, I'd say, for the keeping up appearances, lads. An unexpectedly really good performance in our game. We also managed to take a deep dive into why certain players may or may not have received international caps. As for Arsenal Man City, probably the less said about that, the better. Now for next week, we'll be returning with a Merseyside derby special almost, where we'll be focusing on that for both our discussion and our keeping up appearances game. Now I'm sure if there are any non-Liverpool or Everton fans who listen to us, I'm sure you could forgive us for 1 week for focusing on Liverpool teams, because it's a pretty big one in the city. So we'll see you then, and enjoy your week until then.
Tosh, you didn't do your Scotland joke?
You what?
Your Anthony Amy?
Ah,
Do it now, I'll let
now, innit? I can't believe it. That's gone now forever. We'll have to wait till next international break.
Yeah, lucky.